The Democratic Republic of Congo finally has an election timetable. The Independent Electoral Commission at the weekend announced general elections will take place on the 23rd of December 2018. The vote's been delayed several times, with the Commission citing a lack of funds. The delays have kept President Joseph Kabila in power beyond his constitutional mandate. Initially, the Electoral Commission said it could only hold elections in April 2019, so moving the date forward is welcome news for some. The opposition, though, has already called the new timetable into doubt.
Le calendrier que nous publions aujourd'hui.
The calendar we are publishing today fixes the election in a single sequence, so the presidential, legislative and provincial elections happen in a single day, in December 2018. It must be noted that the solutions presented today are subject to constraints of a financial, logistic, security and legal nature.
Des solutions aux contraintes financières.
Unless we all play our role, institutions, the government, the parliament, the presidency and others, even the technical department and the financial ones, unless we all play our role, I don't think this calendar will hold.
Well, let's get you more perspective on that story. I'm joined live in the studio by Richard Moncrief. He is the Director for Central Africa at the International Crisis Group. Thank you very much for coming in, Richard. Well, let's talk about the date. The date of the DRC's elections has been set and it's earlier than expected. Is there any significance to that?
Well, it's the Electoral Commission has been quite clever actually, because they indicated very informally mid-2019 and then formally moved it forward to December 2018, which seems like a concession, but it's not really. They've got plenty of time. They can organise elections. They could organise elections earlier if they really wanted to and if they really put their back into it. Indeed, 1 year. And of course, previous elections in the Congo have been organised much faster. So it's not really much of a concession. You know, they can organise elections and they need to get on with it.
Now, the Electoral Commission has repeatedly said that it doesn't have the funds to hold an election. So where is the money coming from? Well,
it's a good question. And of course, there's a lot of buck passing going on. No one wants to be fully responsible for this process. And you see in the announcement of the Electoral Commission that there's lots of caveats. There's lots of things where, well, we're not really in control of the money. We're not really in control of the security. So they're giving themselves lots of outs. Now, where's the money coming from? This is interesting. In 2016, the government announced that it would wholly finance the electoral process itself, which was a way of rejecting a donor presence in the electoral process. But since then, they've not given any clarity on how they would finance it.
Is there a bit of worry there?
There's a huge worry, and I think that the electoral budget is one of the big battlegrounds coming up between Kinshasa and international actors. And international actors have to decide whether they want to contribute money to a process they don't really believe in, or hold back and take the government at its word when it says it will finance the elections itself.
Let's talk about the delays. There have been several days, as we've mentioned in this vote, and of course there have been protests because of that. How confident should we be that the DRC will, in fact, stick to its election schedule?
Not overconfident. 2 reasons. Firstly, the government clearly doesn't want to leave power. And there's a lot of ways that it can continue to delay the elections, whatever the Electoral Commission might announce. But there's another question underlying this, which is the political question. At the moment, the opposition is not in a good state. A lot of its leading members are outside the country. They don't have very good traction in country. And so there's a whole load of political conditions to be fulfilled if we're to see a successful election and a peaceful and successful aftermath to that election. So we shouldn't be overconfident, but we should hold people to their commitments.
Okay, thank you very much. David Moncrief for coming in and giving us your thoughts on that. Thank you.